Hello everybody, my name is Kelly and I'm going to be your yoga instructor today, leading you through a 30-minute power vinyasa flow. We're going to work up a sweat, get really stretchy, feel really strong, and I hope that you enjoy and will continue practicing with me. Thank you. Begin in child's pose with your knees wide, feet together, arms extended out in front of you, and just work your chest, chin, or forehead down towards the mat. Option to come up onto your fingertips and spread your shoulder blades away from each other, and then bring your hands down flat against the mat. Lift your chest up slightly, walk your hands over to the left to get a nice right side body stretch. Breathe here, and then slowly walk your hands over to the right to get a left side body stretch, just slowly waking up the body. Walk your hands back to center, and then send your hips up, coming into tabletop position. And just take a couple of rounds of dancing lion. Bring your hips in big circles, wring out your spine. Just take a little bit of free movement here to get your spine warmed up and your hips warmed up. Maybe take some circles with your wrists, rock back and forth, side to side. And just find some connection to your breath and to your body. And then come back to tabletop, and we're going to take a couple rounds of cat-cow, inhaling to pull your chest through, and then exhaling to arch your back and bring your chin towards your chest. Inhale and exhale, and then come back to neutral, and then press your hips back up into downward facing dog. Bend your knees, bring your chin towards your knees into turbo dog, and then roll your body forward into a plank, and just find a little bit of movement here, a little bit of fluidity. Stay strong, press the floor away, chin to knees, and then roll forward into plank. Bring your knees back into plank, knees down, and come down into cobra pose. Pull your chest through, legs still on the mat, and then send your hips back into downward facing dog. Come up onto your tippy toes, pedal out your feet a little bit, and then step, hop, or float to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, reach your arms up above your head, and exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms up above your head, and then exhale, hinges your hips, forward fold. And then plant your hands, step your left foot back, coming into a low lunge on the right side. Press your hips forward, have your back legs straight, pull your chest through. And then on your exhale, send your hips back, straighten out your right leg, coming into runner's stretch. Hinge at the hips and fold over your front leg. And then find a little bit of fluidity between the low lunge and the runner's stretch, just switching between the two poses. And then walk your hands over to the left, send your hips out to the right, and then hands over to the right, hips over to the left, just to work into the different sides of your hamstrings. Come back to neutral, press off your back leg, back into a forward fold at the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach your arms up above your head, and then exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, and then step your right foot back, drop your back knee, come into low lunge on the opposite side. Again, option to press into the top of your leg to get a little bit deeper into the stretch. Keep sending your hips forward, open up your chest, maybe bring your gaze up, and then send your hips back, straighten out your left leg into runner's stretch. And then just flow between the two of these, low lunge to runner's stretch, folding over the straight leg and runner's stretch, and then bring your hips out to the left, arms out to the right, and then hips to the right, arms to the left. Bring your hands forward, step back to the front of the mat, and then inhale, halfway lift, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach your arms up above your head, and exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach your arms up again, exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold, and then plant your hands, step back into plank pose. Inhale here, and then exhale to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra, and exhale, downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet a little bit. And then on your next exhale, step, hop, or float to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach your arms up above your head, send your hips back, coming into chair pose. Option to stay here or come up onto your tippy toes to build a little bit of heat. Find your balance. Feel yourself shaking a little bit, but continue to stay strong here. And then drop your heels, hinges your hips, and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step it back, high plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, reach your right leg up, bend your knee, and take a couple of hip circles in both directions, just warming up your hip joint, helping it get a little bit more open for the leg work we're going to be doing. And then keep your knee bent, slowly drop into wild thing. Reach your right arm over your head, send your hips up, and then slowly step forward, pivot your back foot, and inhale up into warrior one. Back foot at a 45-degree angle, hips facing towards the front of the mat, chest pulls through, maybe gaze comes up, and then exhale, plant your hands, step back into plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra, and exhale, downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet for a moment and then reach your left leg up. Bring that bend into your left leg. Take a couple of hip circles in both directions. And then slowly come up off of your left hand. Bring your left foot back, coming into wild thing on the opposite side. Open your chest to the sky. Reach your left arm forward. And then slowly coming through side plank, step your left foot forward to the front of the mat. Pivot your right heel to a 45-degree angle and come into warrior one, hips facing the front of the mat. Squeeze your glutes. Then exhale, plant your hands, step back into plank pose. Flow through your vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra, and exhale, downward facing dog. Step, hop, or float to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach your arms up above your head, send your hips back, coming back into chair pose. An option again to come up onto your tippy toes. Exhale, plant your heels, and forward fold again. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach your arms up above your head. Exhale, hands to heart center. And inhale, reach your arms up. Bring your left arm down, right arm over. Just get a nice side body stretch. Switch sides, left arm over, right arm down. Left side body stretch. Maybe clasp opposite elbows and take a slight back bend. And then hinge at your hips, forward fold again. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, reach your arms up above your head, send your hips back, coming into chair pose. Bring your left foot towards your left glute. Slowly send your left leg back, come into warrior three, hands at heart center. And then pulse, bring your left knee into your right leg and bring it back down. Straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. Take one more. Straighten and bend. Straighten and slowly step your back foot back, coming into a high lunge. Bring your left arm forward, right arm back, twisted high lunge, and then option to bring your right hand to your left leg to an exalted reverse lunge. Bring your left hand down to the mat, right arm up to the sky. Come over to the left side of your foot and side plank on this side. Option to float the top foot like a tree or grab your big toe with your hand. And then bring it back down to side plank. Plant your right hand and flow through your vinyasa, meeting in downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet for a moment and then inhale, reach your left leg up. Exhale, left knee to right arm to wrist to elbow. Taking elevators here in the middle, over to the right arm and down, and then come all the way back up. And then exhale, step your left foot through, pivot your right foot, coming back into warrior one on the left side. Clasp your hands behind your back, pull your chest through, and then exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold, coming into humble warrior. Continue to retract your shoulder blades together, open up your chest, squeeze your glutes. Take a couple more breaths here. And then halfway lift, pivot your front foot, step forward to the front of the mat and float your right foot coming into stork pose. And just bring your right hip out to the right and back to center a couple of times. And then step it down, send your hips back into chair pose. Bring your hands to heart center and hook the outside of your left arm onto the top of your right knee, coming into a twisted chair. Option to open up your arms here or keep them together at heart center. Open up your chest to the right, bring your hands back to heart center and come back to chair pose. Reach your arms up above your head. Then we're going to take it on the other side. Bring your right heel towards your right glute. Send your right leg back, coming into warrior three with your left leg planted. Exhale, bring your right knee to your left calf, and then inhale, extend. Exhale, bend, inhale, extend, bend, and extend, bend, and extend. One more, bend, and extend, and then slowly step your right foot back, reach your arms up, coming into a high lunge on the opposite side. Bring your right arm forward, left arm back, and then option to bring your left arm to your right leg and reach your right arm up, getting a nice side body stretch through your entire right side. Windmill your hands down, plant your right hand, lift your left arm up, come to the outside of your left foot, and come into side plank on your right side. Option to float the top foot, maybe grab your big toe with your hand and straighten out your leg. Just stay wherever you are. Bring your left arm down and then flow through your vinyasa, meeting in downward facing dog. On your next inhale, reach your right leg up, bring it to your right elbow, dip it down to your wrist, into the center, dip up and down, and then over to the left from elbow to wrist and back up. Inhale, reach your right leg up. Exhale, step it through, coming into warrior one on your right side. Bring your hands together behind your back, pull your chest through, retract your shoulder blades, squeeze your glutes and hinge at your hips, coming into humble warrior. Stay strong here. Don't dip too far down with your chest. And then on your next exhale, step your left foot forward, coming into stork pose at the front of the mat, and just open your hip out to the left, back to center, out to the left, back to center, and then send your hips down, bring your hands to heart center, and hook the outside of your right arm onto the outside of your left leg. Option to open up your arms again here. Come back to center, and then exhale, straighten out your legs, forward fold. And then plant your hands, step, hop, or float back through chaturanga, upward facing dog, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Just pedal out your feet for a moment, and then inhale, reach your right leg up. Exhale, step it through your hands, pivot your back foot parallel to the back of the mat. Windmill your arms up, coming into Warrior Two on the right side. Keep a deep bend through your right knee, shoulders stacked over hips, arms parallel to the mat. On your next inhale, reach your right arm up and reverse your warrior. Come back to Warrior Two, and then inhale, reach your right arm up, reverse your warrior. Exhale, come into side angle pose, left arm reaching over your head. Option to stay here or take a bind by bringing your left arm back behind you and then pull your shoulder blades away from each other. Wherever you're at, release the bind, come back to normal Warrior Two. Inhale, straighten out your front leg, send your hips back, reach your right arm forward, come into triangle pose. Keep your shoulders stacked over each other, core tight, legs engaged. Option to float your bottom hand and just use your core to keep yourself stable. And then bend your front knee, kick off your back foot, come into half moon pose on the right side. Squeeze your glutes, squeeze your core, and then option to take Chapasana on the right side by pushing your foot into your hand, into your hand, into your foot. And then wherever you're at, slowly release, step your left leg back, coming into Skandasana or Surfer's Lunge at the back of the mat. Option to have blocks underneath your hands, have your hands down on the mat, or floating like I am here. And then try to shift over to Skandasana on the right side. Maybe use your hands, maybe don't. Shift back to the left. And then back to the right. Pivot your hips forward. Come into a lizard lunge. Shift your weight forward and back. And then come onto the outsides of both feet. Send your hip down. Reach your right arm back for a nice outer hip stretch on the right side. Inhale, reach your right arm forward. Heel toe your right foot over to the left, coming into pigeon prep. Option to just stay here. Maybe fold over your right leg. If your hip's not all the way down to the mat, you could put a block to give you something to press into. And also option to play with mermaid or king cobra, not king cobra, king pigeon. This is a great quad stretch. Wherever you're at is totally okay. I'm working on the overhead grip here, but definitely not all the way there. And then take the stretch for one more second, and then slowly release your back foot. Press off and straighten out your right leg out to the right. Send your hips down and enjoy that nice outer hip stretch. And then press into your hands, lift your hips up, coming into fallen triangle pose. Option to stay here or send your hips back and lift your right foot up. Bring it back down, plant your left hand, reach your right leg back, maybe take a bend, and then come back to neutral and downward facing dog. Option to take a vinyasa here or just stay in downward facing dog to take a little bit of a breather before we do the next side. Inhale, reach your left leg up. Exhale, step it through, pivot your right foot, and come into Warrior Two on your left side. Again, stay strong through that front leg, bend as deeply as you possibly can, shoulders stacked over hips, and then inhale, reverse your warrior, bring your left arm up, right arm down. And then exhale, back to Warrior Two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, back to Warrior Two. And then come into side angle pose on the left side, reach your right arm over your head. And then option to take your bind on this side, by bringing your right arm behind you and grabbing your left arm under your leg. Pull your chest through, retract your shoulder blades, and then wherever you're at, come back to a warrior two. Straighten out your front leg, send your hips back, reach your left arm forward, coming into triangle pose. Stay strong through your core. Keep your legs tight. If you tend to hyperextend, maybe bring a slight bend into both of your knees. And then come into half moon pose on the left side. Find your balance like I am here. Left arm to the mat or a block, right arm up. Option to bend your top leg, coming into Chapasana on the right side. Hand into foot, foot into hand. And then exhale, slowly release towards the back of the mat, coming into Skandasana or Surfer's Lunge on the right side. Again, option to shuffle over to the left, and you could have your hands down or try to keep your hands floating for an added challenge. Come back towards the front of the mat, bring your hips towards the front of the mat, and then stay here in a high lizard lunge. Rock forward and back, working into your hip flexor, and then come onto the outside of both feet, send your hips down, reach your left arm back. And then inhale, plant your left hand, bring your left foot over to the right, come into pigeon prep on this side. Again, option to stay here, maybe fold over your front leg, or you can stay up, bend your back leg, and come into mermaid pose or king pigeon. I am definitely tighter on this side and less able to get into mermaid pose or king pigeon. So just maybe notice the difference between your two sides. Slowly release. Press your hips up, straighten out your left leg, send your hips back down. Enjoy a nice outer hip stretch here. This pose might be a little bit foreign to you if you've never done it before. Then send your hips up into fallen triangle on this side. Option to send your hips back and lift up your bottom foot. Bring your right hand back, send your left leg up, open up your hip, and then come back to a downward facing dog. Flow forward, option to take your vinyasa, or maybe just stay in downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet, bring your feet wide, and then step or hop your feet to the outsides of your hands, coming into Skandasana. Not Skandasana, Malasana. And then option to stay here, or do this little exercise where you bring your hips up and back down and just work through your hamstrings a little bit before we cool things down. It looks kind of awkward, but it's a really great workout. Slowly bring your hips down, and then we're going to come into cobbler's pose. I'll turn to face you guys so you can see a little bit better. Bring the soles of your feet together, knees out wide. And then option to press on your knees a little bit to work a little bit deeper on both sides. It's okay if the soles of your feet come apart at a certain point. And then maybe fold over your legs. And just stay here for a couple more breaths. Slowly come up. And we're going to do Janu on the left side. Bring your right foot into your left leg. Hinge at your hips and fold over your left leg. Inhale to extend your spine, reach the crown of your head towards your toes, and then fold again over your leg to get a little bit deeper. It's okay if you don't reach your toes. Wherever you're at is totally okay. Slowly bring yourself back up to neutral, switch sides, bend your left leg, straighten out your right. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead, and then exhale, fold over your right leg. Again, inhale, halfway lift, extend your spine, reach the crown of your head towards your toes, and then fold again to get a little bit deeper. Slowly come back up. Straighten out your left leg. We're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. You can keep your feet flexed, hinge at your hips, and fold forward. And then option to alternate between pointing and flexing your toes. I find this helps me get a little bit deeper into it. Just kind of working into my joints a little bit deeper. Just find your edge, challenge that, and then come back up to neutral, bring your knees in, and then option to play with this posture a little bit. Plant your hands, hook your arms over your elbows, and then maybe send your hips back and see if your feet might float a little bit. Option to straighten out your legs, or just see if you're able to find a little bit of hang time here. And then bring your hips all the way down and slowly lower all the way down onto your mat. Windshield wiper your knees from side to side. Just get a little bit of a low back release here. And then straighten out your right leg. Hug your left knee into your chest. And then bring your left leg straight if this works with your body. And then bring your left leg over to the right, either bent or straight, and stack your hips over each other. Bring your left arm out to the left. Bring your gaze over to the left. Slowly come back to center, switch legs, hug your right knee in. Option to straighten out your right leg or keep it bent. Pull your knee in towards your chest. And then bring your right leg over to the left, right arm out to the right, gaze over to the right. Hips stacked over each other. Come back to center. Take happy baby, grabbing the outsides of your feet or maybe the back side of your thighs, and just rock side to side, massaging your low spine. And then option to take one final pose of plow pose. Bring your hips up and your feet back behind you. Feel your chin come into your chest, and then maybe just bring your arms out straight. Breathing might be a little bit more challenging here, but try to stay consistent with your breath. And then when you're ready, slowly, one vertebrae at a time, bring your hips back down to the mat. Straighten out your legs. Bring your feet out to the side. Release everything here. Palms face the sky. And just relax your breath. Relax your body, and relax your mind. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. If you enjoyed, please subscribe to my channel. I'm putting out new yoga videos every week. And check me out on Instagram at Kelly Sutton Yoga for more fun stuff every day of the week. Have a great day.